waiting for that person to leave with those two dogs. Guess why? Because she doesn't like those two dogs. Don't run off. Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It's Tuesday morning. It's a little bit fresh this morning. It's not cold, but there's a little bit of a nip in the air. In this video, we're going to talk about Hawkins County. I'm sure that a lot of you who've been following the Summer Wells case heard the news yesterday, whether it be on my channel or whether it be on another channel. There's been some lives, there's been some videos made about this. So I'm sure you'll have heard of it. That is Brandon Lewis Lawson. Who is he? He is the son of Sheriff Ronnie Lawson, Sheriff of Hawkins County. The county where on June 15th, 2021, Summer Wells disappeared. Look guys, when I was covering the Summer Wells case, every day I talked a lot about the connections between people in that area, in Beach Creek and just beyond it. There was always the rumour and the speculation that Don Wells was related to Sheriff Ronnie Lawson. He isn't. I can't find any connection whatsoever between him, the sheriff, and Don, or Don's step-family, you know, the Good family. I can't find any connection. But I think at the time people were focusing in on that, I think everyone's been focusing on the wrong person, because it's not Don Wells here that's corrupt. You need to flip this and think about it in a different way. Now, I know this isn't a popular statement to make, given that Don and Candice weren't the best parents by no means. Problems in their relationship, drinking, drugs, domestic violence, all there. It can't be ignored that in some ways those kids were neglected. That can't be ignored. They're not going to win any prizes for Parents of the Year. The boys being taken away a month after Summer disappeared, I think was a good thing for those boys. But all that said, what if, and this is a what if Don and Candice had absolutely nothing to do with Summer Wells' disappearance, except Candice not keeping eyes on Summer on June 15th. But what if the Wells were seen as appropriate targets? What if Summer was seen as an appropriate target? Hawkins County lead detective John Pruitt said that everything's still on the table, but there's no signs that Summer was trafficked out of the area, no signs of an abduction. But there's no signs of anything. There's no signs of her just wandering off. There's no signs of anything. Unlike the Quinton Simon case, which is only, 13 days old, very quickly, Leilani Simon, Quinton's mother, was named primary suspect, although they are investigating the whole family. Very quickly. What Leslie Earhart from the TBI has said in one of the early press conferences, she said that usually in the first few days when a child or a person goes missing, they get a good idea of what theory to follow, of what lines of inquiries are the most important. But in Summer's case, it hasn't been like that. In Summer's case, 16 months later, there's still nothing. Law enforcement are completely quiet about Summer's case. There's been no updates whatsoever that I know of since June 15th and the 1 year mark of Summer's disappearance. Do they want to brush this case under the rug? Are they still working on it? We don't know. I've tweeted Leslie Earhart for an update on the footprints. Didn't receive any reply. And then yesterday we get Brandon Lewis Lawson, who has pled guilty to 4 counts of aggravated battery attempts. 4 counts. The record is pretty much locked down. It's unlike any record that I've seen on the Hawkins County or Sullivan County Circuit Court records. There's normally more information. There's normally hearing dates, the results of each hearing, but no, nothing. This is just 4 counts of battery attempts, which are Class B felonies, and no information. People have asked me if I can find out who the victim or victims were. Not their names, not to dox them. They have a right to privacy. But things like their ages, their genders. I don't think that information has been released. I can't find it. Aggravated battery is a violent offence. This is a violent form of abuse. And it could possibly be on a child under the age of 13. But it could have been an adult, but where bodily injury or a weapon was used, more than one person was involved. We don't know. We don't know the details at all. This has been kept so quiet. In fact, the news broke yesterday, but Brandon Lewis Lawson had been sent to jail 4 days previous. And the violations occurred in 2018 and then allegedly 2020. It says 2018 on the record. I don't know whether that needs to be corrected or what, but that's what it said in the news. Now, I guess it's understandable that there's going to be a lot of interest around this, and for Brandon Lewis Lawson's own protection, he's not serving his sentence in Hawkins County. He's serving it in Granger County, on hold from Hawkins. I get that. I do get that. What I don't get, though, is Brandon Lewis Lawson receiving a 20-year sentence. But although he has to stay on the RSO register for life, he can leave jail, just serve his time in a county jail. Just sit there for a year. 1 year he's got to do jail time out of a 20-year sentence. What's all that about? Don Wells got a year, almost a year, for violation of probation after a DUI. So, whatever you think of Don Wells, where's the justice there? Where's the justice for Brandon Lewis Lawson's victims? Don Wells didn't have a victim. He just violated his probation. And he got 11 months and 29 days. Now he's coming out in, 12 days' time? Not February the 6th, because they include time served or whatever it's called. But where's the justice for Brandon Lewis Lawson's victim or victims? How do you think they might feel? How do you think they might feel knowing that he served just 1 year? The fact he's got a sign on the register, so what, big deal? It'll influence the type of jobs that he can get in the future. Or will it? Because the Old Boys Network is very strong there in Hawkins County. There's no shadow of a doubt about that now. And I've talked about corruption and the connections between people. I'm going to start looking into all of that again. I need to find out who Brandon Lewis Lawson is, what his connections are. I'm going to be looking at the sheriff and his family and his connections very, very closely. I might not be able to find much because I'm pretty sure that Brandon Lewis Lawson, his information will be on lockdown. 4 counts of attempts of aggravated S battery. Now I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that's not his first offence. That's just my opinion. But you don't have a completely clean record to the point of you being in your 40s and then commit 4 counts of aggravated S battery. Why, what's happened? Did he lose his mind or what? No, I don't believe so. I believe that Brandon Lewis Lawson has been a bad boy. I bet there are more victims out there. More victims that weren't listened to. More victims who were scared to come forward. More victims who've had justice quashed and silenced. That's just my opinion. I can't prove that. But you don't have a completely squeaky clean record and then commit acts of violence like that. You don't. You just don't. But what does all of this mean for Summer's case? Well, Jennifer Coffendoffer, who is an ex-FBI agent, she appears on Court TV and she's been on some YouTube channels. She's weighed in on Twitter and spoke to Summer and said, Summer, your case didn't stand a chance. She is absolutely right. In Summer's case, although there's no evidence of anything, we don't know how carefully that investigation's been done. We don't know whether information has been brushed under the rug or ignored. I can bet, I'll bet a significant amount of money. Not that I've got a significant amount of money, but I'll bet it anyway. That there's people out there who have not been investigated in relation to Summer's case. Look at Don Sherfy Jr. Look at his connections with Ben Hill Road. Look how close his father's girlfriend's house is. It's one of the closest properties to the wells. The border of their property, Mary Gold Sexton's property, rest in peace Mary, she died in June, borders onto the wells. Mary Gold Sexton is the sister of William Gold, Don's stepfather. There's been animosity between the families. Don Sherfy Sr., who is the long-term boyfriend of Christy Mark, Mary's daughter, he's an ex-corrections officer. He's got connections. And his son, then 28 years old, he's got off lightly. He's in jail serving 6 years for 1,000 images of child P. Some of them of the aggravated, the extreme variety. But it's all been pled down and he's got to do 6 years. We don't know the nature of that child P. We don't know what it depicted. We don't know how violent it was. We don't know if Don Sherfy Jr. is part of a network. Because I bet that hasn't been investigated, you know. Again, I'll bet a significant amount of money that I don't have on the connections that Don Sherfy Jr. might have has not been investigated. Because Brandon Lewis Lawson is in good company. The number of RSOs in Hawkins County and Sullivan County is astonishing. It's not the highest I've ever seen. But the issue is just a little that we've been able to find out investigating the Summer Wells case. You can see connections between people connected to Summer and these SOs. And the SO register is just the tip of the iceberg, because the majority of SOs don't get caught. The victims don't come forward, or when they do, they're not believed. And I can bet your bottom dollar, I bet every bottom dollar in the world that that's happened. in Hawkins County and Sullivan County. Jennifer Coffendaffer is absolutely right. Summer's case didn't stand a chance. We don't know how poor that investigation's been. It would have been very easy for them, you know, if there was the tiniest bit of evidence to charge Candice, maybe even Don as well, if there was any hint that they were involved. I don't believe law enforcement are covering up for Don and Candice. I used to think that. But it's time to flip the script and entertain the possibility that however terrible parents they were, however terrible human beings they were, Don's past crimes, Candice, drinking, drugs, dodgy friends, all of that said, all of that's true. But what it does is it makes the Wells and Summer a target. And that's where we need to be heading, I think. Don's out of jail in 12 days now. Whether Don will be back on the YouTubes or whether the media manager will keep him under lock and key. Something tells me that Don will be back. Don's been in solitary confinement for, well, since February the 7th. He's got a lot of catching up to do. But I do have some sympathy for Don. I do. Not for his past. Don't unsubscribe just because I said that. Not for his past. Not for the fact that they were terrible parents. But the fact that them being terrible parents, letting their kids run around, little then 5-year-old Summer is a perfect target. What if Don Wells is right and he said this is bigger than anyone knows? What if it is? What if Don's right? What if Don's scared? I've speculated on this before. What if they know, or at least they suspect, who's involved and they don't say? But for a network, for a group of, you know, maybe child P producers or something like that, to even notice Summer. You know, Summer lives in a very rural backwater. Not easy to see Summer playing out from the road. Not easy at all, especially in summer when the foliage is deep. So it would take people local to Summer to know that she was there, to know that she existed, and to be able to plot a time when she could be taken. What if something like that happened? What if, although Brandon Lewis Lawson's charges are not directly related to Summer's case, what if this is the general effect of things going on in Hawkins County? What if Brandon Lewis Lawson just highlights the corruption, the Old Boys Network? But what if a perpetrator who took Summer has got similar connections and it's being brushed under the rug? At the very least, the investigation has not been thorough enough. So I'm going to ask you to consider that. Whatever you think of Don and Candice, I want you to consider the corruption in Hawkins County. If you're one of the people who's been following the Kylie Rodney case and has been talking about the corruption in Truckee and the Truckee Way, yeah, the Truckee Way is a real thing. I did a video showing the Truckee Way document. Did that have anything to do with Kylie Rodney's death? I don't think so. But if you're interested in looking at corruption, then I ask you to start investigating the corruption in Hawkins County and the surrounding counties. I ask you to consider the Summer Wells case in a different way and to realise that maybe this is far bigger than anyone knows. And Don Wells was right. Just asking you to consider it, that's all. because Brandon Lewis Lawson's case highlights perfectly the old boys network. 20-year sentence, does 1 year in jail. Where have you ever heard that before? That's bizarre. So what if there are connections that run deep and things have been brushed under the rug, and Summer is not only the victim of whatever happened to her on June 15th, 2021, she's also a victim of that corrupt system. And Jennifer Coffindaffer is absolutely right that Summer's case didn't stand a chance. So I think it's time to look at some of these deep connections. Are you with me, guys? Let me know in the comments below. I've been Michelle, hope you're well. See you in the next video. Goodbye from Miss Tillington and Miss Cassie Springer. Bye, guys.